When do you think we will have AGI?
Sam, you know we have it internally already. Be honest with your listeners.
Okay, so that was me doing a podcast with Sam Altman asking about him revealing AGI. Now, of course, that was made with Sora 2, and that's what I want to talk about in this video. And actually, there are three main parts to Sora 2, which I think are really interesting here. So there's the model itself, which I'll go into in a second. There's the app or the product. And then there's also the fact that really this is OpenAI's foray into building a full-on social network with short-form content, very similar to something like TikTok or YouTube Shorts, etc. So let's go and have a look at the three different things. So first off, OpenAI has basically launched a new version of Sora. And it's taken quite a while for us to actually see Sora 2. So the original Sora was sort of previewed in, I think, February 2024. But it was a long time before people actually got to play with it and start generating videos. And actually, by that time, a lot of other companies had already released video generation models that were either very close to on par with Sora, or perhaps some of them even surpassing Sora. So since the first sort of initial preview of Sora, we've seen Google bring out 3 versions of VO. We've seen a lot of Chinese companies just go nuts with some of the video models that they're making. So it's not surprising that OpenAI was going to basically release a new version of this. And looking at the outputs that we're seeing, the model is extremely impressive, right? We've got longer form generation. We've got 1080p quality of video. We've got the ability for the model itself to do cutscenes and to produce full audio that goes along with the visuals, including things like lip syncing, sound effects, music, pretty much anything that you can sort of imagine as being audio on a video. This thing seems to be able to do it. So it's tempting to say that the story is just that, right? We've got a really good model in here. But what OpenAI has actually done goes far beyond that. And this is where I think it gets really interesting, that they've gone into both putting out an app, but also creating basically a social network where people can share the content that they've made. People can have their own feed, which allows them to basically curate what they're watching. And they can use the app itself to do generation. So the app itself is currently iOS only. My guess is that we will see an Android version in the not too distant future. It's currently invite only, but the way that they've set it up is once you sign up, you get more invites. So a lot of people will be able to have access to this pretty quickly. The other thing that's fascinating about the app is that currently there's no charge for actually generating content. So this goes back to the model that not only is the model being able to generate really high quality outputs, it's also small enough that it can generate stuff in a reasonable amount of time and perhaps not use too much compute, which OpenAI is always talking about being short of. So they do have a web app version of this that you can come in and scroll through. And this is where you start to see the whole sort of idea of a social network. So looking at it on mobile, it looks very similar to TikTok, that you can basically just swipe up, swipe down to see new content or to go back. On the web version, you've got a feed where you can see multiple videos at the same time. As you can see, like I'm going through this. And so probably the most interesting part in here is that you can generate videos. So here's one that I generated of Sam Altman running around in a Minecraft world.
Since it feels so real. There's a stream jumping it now in a Minecraft world. Let's go for a run. This is wild. Look at all these trees and those mountains in the distance. It feels so real. There's a stream jumping it now. What a view.
Okay, now I can choose to basically publish posts or not. But then the real sort of trick comes in this idea of cameos. And the cameos are basically where you can put yourself into the video. And you'll see that if I come in here, I've got my cameo set up, which to basically do that, I needed to film myself on the mobile app. And it will ask you to say some things to try and get your voice. And it will also ask you to move your head, etc. And then you basically put in a prompt where you describe the people that you want to have in there. Now you can choose whether your avatar, etc., can be used in other people's videos. Unfortunately, not through the web app, but through the mobile app. So you can see that you can pick only yourself, people you approve, mutuals, or everyone. So you've also got settings in here where you can actually change how your cameo appears to other people. So you can select a pronoun. I'm not sure exactly what this is doing, but you can also then select some cameo preferences. So for example, if I put in here wearing a black t-shirt, in theory, everyone who rendered something with my cameo or even myself, that character should basically have a black t-shirt in there. Now, you also have the ability to upload images to basically work on those or remix videos that you've already made. So you can see here, I made a video of Sam Altman running around in a Minecraft world. And then you can see that I've made a remix of it where I'm running along with him. Another thing I'll say is that clearly they're using different models in here. When you basically render something with a cameo, it takes a lot longer to render the video based on your cameo or including other people's cameos than it does just to make a video where you've just gone text to video, where you're just conditioning purely on the text. So my guess is that they're using just different models in here. I do find the model that they're using for just text to video to be very quick, which is interesting, and perhaps how they've been able to actually get the cost down to actually make it viable to let people do this for free. You've also got to wonder, with OpenAI doing this for free, how's that actually going to affect Google, where they've been charging up to $6 per video for the VO3 videos? Okay, so for me, one of the things that I think is perhaps even more important than the model itself is the fact that OpenAI is going down this route of creating a social network. Now, over the past couple of years, they've been raising so much money. At some point, they have to basically work out a business model or a set of business models that is going to make them a lot of money. And it does seem to me more and more that just selling tokens or pixels alone is not a great business model for these companies. So you've got companies like Google, where not only are they selling the tokens, but they're able to make money off selling the cloud that goes along with it, selling services that go along with it. In many ways, it seems to me that they're using Gemini often, perhaps as a loss leader, to get more cloud customers, which is becoming a big part of their business. Microsoft is similar to that as well. OpenAI, though, doesn't have a business like that. They basically have to work out how they're going to make money. Now, we've seen them go down the e-commerce route, that they've already announced that not only can you search for items on sites now, but on certain sites, I think it's like Shopify and some others, you can actually do the buying through them. And it also appears that we see them expand into an ads business. So this kind of makes sense if you think about it, that ChatGPT supposedly is at 800 plus million users already. So when you're getting close to that billion user mark, the only way that you can really monetize that is going to be through advertising. And if you look at all the other sort of trillion-dollar companies that are out there with similar kinds of business models, they're generally going to be social networks. You've got your Facebook, you've got your TikTok, you've got your Snap. Because just recently, there's been a lot of talk about OpenAI looking for ad monetization experts to basically join their team to roll out the advertising. Now, my guess is that they're probably not going to want to mess too much with the ChatGPT product for advertising. I don't think it's going to be good if you start asking about a product and suddenly it's selling you the competitor to that product or something like that, which is what did work for AdWords, right? Is that when you did a search for one thing, you could see a whole bunch of ads on the side. And we may see something like that come to the free version of ChatGPT, but it makes more sense to actually put ads in social feeds. And what we're seeing in that social feed, which is very similar to TikTok, is that it's probably going to be very easy for them to just have 1 out of every 10 at the start or 1 out of every 20 be an advertisement based on things that you're looking at. Now, they're talking about the feed being controlled by you and stuff like that. I would remind people that Facebook was exactly the same early on. Once they introduced their feed, at the start, you could basically just see all your friends' posts in a chronological order, etc. And then over time, people are basically paying to appear in that feed. And my guess is that in this day and age, companies probably will pay to have their own brand and characters, etc., be used in these kind of videos for people to promote a product like a movie, like a new TV show, etc. So the launch of Sora 2 app and the sort of social network that goes around it, in some ways I feel is much bigger than the model itself. And it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. OpenAI does seem to be the company that's positioning themselves with a lot of B2C products as well as their APIs. Now, they have said that Sora 2 will be available as an API. It's going to be interesting to see how much that actually costs and what they're going to have to charge to actually allow other people to do that, because that's actually going to give us a sense of how much it's costing them to be able to give away all of this for free. So anyway, if you are interested in this, I think there'll be a lot more invites coming available over the next few days. I think the way they've structured the invite thing at the start is basically just to get a good buzz around it. But my guess is by this weekend or early next week, everyone should be able to get an invite code. So I'm really curious to know what you guys think. How do you feel about this somewhat of a pivot from just making models and being a frontier model maker to making products around this? So I made a video earlier this week about Sonnet 4.5 from Anthropic and how really that looks like it's going to be driving an enterprise product in the virtual collaborator. And now we've got another frontier lab that's going in a sort of total different direction. And I should point out that it's often these sort of gimmick effects in some of these models, the giblifying of images that OpenAI had, and like we've seen Nano Banana, which has really snuck up on Google for the amount of accelerators that they've had to allocate to this. But these kind of new breakthrough multimodal uses of these models are actually what's bringing large masses of users to sign up for the OpenAI products, to sign up for the Gemini products, etc. So I'd love to hear people's take on that in the comments. I put up my first ever short this morning, which was the short Sora video from the start of this video. I may put up a few more just for fun. But anyway, as always, if you found the video useful, please click like and subscribe, and I will talk to you in the next video. Bye for now.